When the republic is confused and when the law is twisted, when the word is ignored, there must be an immediate briefing. Fellow Americans, here he is, straight from the heart of Toto town, within the clandestine chambers of the world-famous conservative college, America's favorite professor, officially recognized as first in the nation. This is The Briefing with Professor Toto.
Alarm bells should be going off just like that all over America right now. And for some reason, the mainstream media is not talking about this. This is what's happening in America right now should not be happening. It is alarming what is happening right now. And everybody seems to be asleep. Hello, I'm Professor Toto with the Conservative College, and it is my duty to interrupt my day and your life to bring you information that you need to be privy to, cognizant of, and preparing, because there are alarm bells in the markets, and I'm going to explain it when I get done today. Now, the reason for this podcast that I'm doing is not to scare you. Actually, when I get done, you're going to find out that there's only one reason you don't have to be scared, but you should be scared, if that makes any sense. There is a reason that you do not have to be scared right now, but you do need to be alarmed. You need to be awakened, because something very strange is happening in the financial markets, something that has not happened since the 1970s, the year of my birth. In 50-something years, this has never happened, and nobody in the mainstream is talking about it. Wall Street's not talking about it. CNBC and your financial advisor, he doesn't even know where to look. Because central banks around the world are screaming right now, loud. History is screaming at me and you, wake up. The math that we're looking at right now is dangerous. The patterns are familiar and predictable. The warning lights are flashing red, my fellow American. But, and I say this but vociferously, there is one variable that history has never had to factor in. If we listen to history, and I'm fixing to go through some of that history with you. If we listen to history right now, America's in trouble. Major trouble financially if we listen to history. And normally you can listen to history unless there is a variable that history has never seen before. And in fact, that's where we are. That variable is Donald Trump. And so I want to explain it to you, because you need to be aware. Let me tell you a story of two brothers. I'm going to make it very simple for you today. A story of two brothers. Opposite personalities. Every family has one. Two brothers, total different personalities. They can't stand each other at the Thanksgiving dinner. Well, the financial markets have two brothers. And if you understand these two brothers, then it's the key to understanding everything I'm going to teach you today. The first brother, his name is Stocks, S-T-O-C-K-S, Stocks. Now, Stocks is the optimist, the dreamer. Every family has one. The guy that shows up to the party with champagne, convinced that tomorrow's going to be better than today. When people feel good about the economy, When they're confident, they give their money to stocks. The brother stocks. Stocks is our confidence brother. Now the other brother, total opposite. His name, gold, precious metals, silver, platinum. By the way, keep your eyes on platinum. That's the next big mover. Silver and platinum is where your eyes need to be right now. Now, this brother gold is the pessimist, the survivor, the guy that shows up to the party with a go bag and a flashlight just in case the power goes out. Gold doesn't trust promises. It doesn't trust paper. It doesn't trust government. And gold has been around for 5,000 years, actually 6,000 years, folks. He watched the Roman Empire fall. He watched the British Empire fall. He watched every paper currency in human history eventually go to zero. So when people feel scared, which brother do you think they cling to? Stocks or precious metals, gold? Gold is the fear brother. Stocks is the optimist brother. Now, here's what you need to understand about these two brothers, and that's why the title of this podcast is Alarm Bells Are Screaming. Here's what you have to know about these two brothers. They hate each other. They hate each other. When stocks is winning, gold is losing. When gold is winning, stocks are supposed to be what? Losing. These brothers always move in opposite directions. They don't get along. They don't like each other. They don't run together. They always have. It's like a seesaw. One goes up, the other goes down. Simple. So let me tell you what's happening right now in December of 2025. The S&P, the stock brother, just hit all-time high. 6,900, all-time record high, the highest in American history, the stock brother. Well, then surely the other brother, gold, is what? Going in the opposite direction, correct? Wrong. Gold just blasted $4,500 an ounce. It's up 70% in 2025 alone. The highest annual gain since 1979. What does that mean? Both brothers are winning. Both brothers are running together. And if this keeps up, then you truly are in the golden age. What do I mean by the golden age? Very simple. Both groups of people cannot win together. The stocks, if you've got your money in stocks and you're winning, then all the people that's holding precious metals are crying. Vice versa. If the people with stocks are crying, the people with precious metals are rejoicing. But today in America, both are winning. And that's not a good thing. Unless, remember what I'm telling you right now is not a good thing. I'm fixing to go through the history with you. Get your pencils ready. History says that when you see that happen, the bottom's fixing to fall. Both brothers are not allowed to run together. That's not supposed to happen. That's like fire and ice holding hands. It makes no sense what's happening in our markets right now, especially precious metals, unless it's a warning. Now, we've seen this movie before. Before I proceed, put down in your notes right now, Professor Toto is going to give us the good news later. because there's great news here, and yet we should be scared to death. Why should we be scared to death? Every time gold and the stock market join hands and run together, disaster follows. Let's start. Let's go back to 1999. The dot-com boom. Remember when every company put .com behind their name? The NASDAQ went up 86% in 1 year, and everybody got rich on internet stocks. Gold, it was at $252 an ounce in 1999, a 30-year low. Ignored, forgotten, but suddenly gold stopped falling in 1999. When the NASDAQ was going through the roof, gold stops its plunge and starts basing out. Now, that should not have happened. As those stocks were rising, gold should have continued falling, but it based out. 18 months later, the NASDAQ crashed 77%. It took 15 years for us to recover from the crash in 1979. And then gold started a decade-long rally from that 250. Remember, we're at $4,500 today. 79, we're at $252 an ounce. And when the stock market crashed is when gold went on a 10-year rally. Let's fast forward to 2007, the housing boom. Stocks near an all-time high because subprime was contained, they told us. Gold kept rising, up 30% that year. The housing market is booming. Both are not allowed to boom together. But here we have the housing market booming and gold is booming. Not allowed. 1 year later, just like 1979, 1 year later, Lehman Brothers collapsed. The worst financial crisis since the Great Depression. Gold saw it coming. Anytime you see gold booming, it is screaming that trouble's on the way. The 1970s, the last time that gold and stocks rallied together, what came next? After 1970, we saw gold and the stocks rallying together, not allowed. What happened? Stagflation. Inflation hit 14%. The dollar lost a third of its value. Gold saw that coming. Stocks lost 92%. Gold went from $35 an ounce to $850 an ounce. That's the pattern. We have a historical pattern. We can go back even further. Gold does not chase growth. Remember that. Right now, gold and silver and platinum should not be splurging. Now, remember, gold does not chase growth. Gold runs in front of stress. Anytime you see gold running like this, it is a reason to get alarmed. But don't, because Professor Toto's bringing the great news after I tell you about the warning. But be that as it may, this is a very concerning time in the markets. Now, some folks would say this is just inflation. This is just an asset bubble. This is the Fed doing what the Fed always does. Good, that means you're thinking. But stay with me, because if this were only that, if this was just normal monetary noise, gold and stocks would not be holding hands. Anytime you see those two holding hands, it's a warning. And right now, both brothers are holding hands for the first time since the 1970s. Literally holding hands. Now, here's the part that should wake you up. If everything is fine, if the system is healthy, why are central banks all over the world hoarding gold like their lives depend on it? Over the past 3 years, central banks have bought more than 1,000 tons of gold each year in the last 3 years. Suddenly, out of nowhere. That's the fastest pace in 50 years. What is the total holdings right now? 36,000 tons. 27% of all foreign reserves, the highest in 3 decades. As of August 25 this year, central bank gold holdings exceed their holding of U.S. Treasury bonds. Hello, alarm. For the first time, they are holding more gold than the U.S. Treasury bonds. For the first time since 1996, the people that run the money system now hold more gold than they do American debt. Alarm, very alarming. So who's buying all this gold? Let's start with Poland, 90 tons last year. Their central bank president wants gold at 20% of their reserves. China, 44 tons. India, 73 tons. And then India took back 100 tons from the UK and brought it home to India. Turkey, the Czech Republic, Kazakhstan, they're all buying. Now think about this. Central banks, they're not retail investors like me and you that just watch YouTube channels. No. Central banks, these are the people that print the money. They are the system. And this is where you need to start seeing the good news that I'm going to bring in a moment. Remember, the system is buying the gold because they are very alarmed of one thing. And we're going to get there in a minute. They are getting out of the system. The system is getting out of the system. The World Gold Council said that 95% of central banks expect gold reserves to keep rising. 3 out of 4 central banks think the dollar is going down. 3 out of 4. So all these banks have gotten together and looked at history, and they know what's coming. They want out of the printing business. They want gold. Why? Because every dollar that America prints makes the dollar that they are holding worth less. And they know this. They've watched America print trillions of dollars. They've watched the debt hit $37 trillion. They've watched the deficits explode. So truly, they want out. History is telling them, get out now. And they've made that decision. They're not waiting for the crisis. They're preparing. But here's what else you need to understand. Central banks are not just betting against growth, they're betting against politics. They know that productivity is coming. Elon Musk said yesterday that the GDP will double in 5 years because of AI, and he may be right. But central banks are not asking whether America can grow. They're asking whether Washington can resist ruining that growth with debt and panic. Now remember, gold is not anti-growth. Gold is anti-fake growth. And this is the problem with the world banks. They have no doubt that America can keep printing money. They have no doubt of that. They have no doubt that our GDP, that we can produce product, that our economy can produce income. They do not doubt that. What they're doubting is real growth. And that's where gold comes in. When they begin to see fake growth, they jump out. Now, let me explain to you how the government steals from you and from the world banks and from everybody without ever touching your wallet. Now, I call this the pizza principle. You need to learn this principle. It's valid. You and 9 friends go out and you order a pizza. That's 10 people. You get 10 slices. Everybody gets one. That's the dollar system. Every dollar is a slice of the American economic pie. Every dollar you hold is your slice of the pie. Now, the pizza shop owner, that's the Federal Reserve, they decide to cut each slice in half. Now you've got 20 slices. So it looks like you got a bigger pizza. Now you can feed 20 people. But did the pizza get bigger? No. Each slice got smaller. And that's what happens every time we print money. China holds $1 trillion, US dollars. That's what they're holding. They have a claim on American goods by $1 trillion. So America prints more dollars. Did we build more factories? No. Did we grow more wheat? Did we have true growth? Or did we create more value in America? No. We created more slices of the same pizza, and now each slice of that $1 trillion that China has is now worth less. China's $1 trillion used to buy 10 million American cars. Now it buys 5 million. Did we default in America? No. Did we steal from China? No. Well, yes, we did steal, but we did not default. We stole. When we print more money, we are stealing from China. We are stealing from everyone else, and they're all saying, hey, you keep printing the money, we're out. We're going to gold. We're going to silver, to platinum. That's the game. We did not default on China. We paid them with more dollars. So we don't, in America, they're not defaulting, they're diluting. Same numbers, less value. Legal theft, hidden theft, but theft nonetheless. And it hurts you. It hurts your savings. You shrink in real terms every day. Your paycheck buys less every year because we keep printing money. In 2020 alone, America printed 40% of all dollars that ever existed. Did you hear me? In 2020 alone, did our economy grow by 40%? It looks that way. It looks like the pizza has more slices. No. In 2020, we were locked in our homes. In 2020, we printed 40% of all dollars that has ever existed in 1 year alone during the COVID manufactured crisis. Yeah, when they made everybody go home and quit working, if you're not producing, you got to print. So everyone that's holding dollars in 2020, your slice got 40% smaller, your slice of the American pie. But what about gold, silver, precious metals? Gold cannot be printed. There's only so much gold on planet Earth. Human beings have mined in all of history 212,000 tons of gold. That's 4 swimming pools. All the gold in the world will fit in 4 swimming pools. That's why it's called precious metals. All the gold humanity's ever pulled from the ground in 6,000 years would fill 4 swimming pools. That's all there is. So when America prints more dollars are chasing the same amount of gold. Do you understand? Because a dollar is supposed to represent the gold. Gold. Now, before I explain a little bit more, Let me explain to you why history, even though they're screaming at us right now, even though they're warning us the bottom's about to fall out, history may be wrong. Because history goes by patterns and rhythms. And typically, when nations get in this condition, typically, they always do what? Print more money. Fake value. Fake growth. But there is one thing that history may not be calculating into where we are today. The brilliance of tariffs. Could it be that God has raised up Donald Trump providentially to save America from history's warning with tariffs? Because that's real growth. That's not printing more money. That's receiving more value. And history is screaming, absolutely. History is warning me and you the bottom's about to fall out. But I've got to tell history something. You were not planning for Donald Trump's tariffs. It may very well be that tariffs is going to be the salvation of America. Because tariffs do something completely different. While inflation steals silently from savings, tariff tax, or you call it a tax, tariff, it taxes openly. Inflation steals silently. Tariffs tax openly. One, inflation dilutes your slice, but the other, tariffs, makes the pizza actually bigger again. So on your pizza now, we're not cutting slices. Now we're adding literally more dough to the pizza. Now, some of you are thinking, Professor Toto, you've taught us that the U.S. debt isn't really debt. We print the money, we cannot go bankrupt. You're right, we will never go bankrupt. But see, three things can be true at one time. Number one, we can't technically go bankrupt. We print the money, so that's true. Number two, printing has consequences. It devalues the pizza, the currency. It steals from savings. And three, central banks see this. So to answer the question, why all central banks are pulling out? Because they're expecting our government to do what it always does. Fake growth. History's telling them, but see, history's not telling them about Donald Trump. And that's why today, even though what's happening should be sending shivers everywhere, this may very well be a true golden age coming for all of us. Those of you that have stocks and those of us that have precious metals. We may very well be running together against all the rules and against all the odds. Because when gold starts rising, it's warning not about a default, because America will never default, but it is warning about a dilution or a literally lessening of our value. But here comes Donald Trump out of nowhere and spits out this word tariffs that we all was like, what are you talking about? Donald Trump saw that the only way to save this nation, not printing, collecting. He knew if we don't add dough to this pizza, the bottom's fixing to fall out. Now, I want you to stay with me because what I'm about to say, you will not hear anywhere else. History is good at one thing: patterns. They know that when debt grows faster than production, currencies get diluted. That's when gold rises. That's when trust erodes. And that cycle always ends badly. We may very well, because of Donald Trump, literally deflected from what was coming to this nation. Time will tell. But this is a movie we've watched over and over. Rome, Spain, Britain. Same movie, same ending. And right now, we should all be alarmed. When you look and see gold rising in stocks, be alarmed. That's not a good thing unless it is. Historically, it's bad. Presently, there may be something the markets has not considered. Donald Trump. Remember, these people, these central banks started pulling out of the system 3 years ago. Who was president then, or resident, shall we say? Joe Biden. They knew what Joe was going to do. What? What they always do. Print. Raise the debt ceiling. Print more. Now, it's okay if you have to raise the debt ceiling and you're printing more if you're doing something, on the other hand, to produce real growth in America. But gold and stocks rising together, central banks hoarding, the dollar weakening, debt exploding. Every pattern tells me and you today, brace for impact. But even though the bells are ringing, is it possible that one man has turned our funeral bells into wedding bells? I believe so. What if this time there is a variable that history and the elites and the central banks did not anticipate? The return of Donald Trump. No one anticipated that except yours truly and those of you that follow me. They did not. He was being arrested. He was going to prison. He was done, over with. They're grabbing the gold. Gold is splurging. What if one man was placed in a position by providence itself to defy the pattern? Now look, history does not need miracles to break patterns. It just needs leaders willing to absorb the pain instead of postponing it. I'm talking about something much bigger than politics right now. Think about it. The central banks have been hoarding for 3 years. Poland, China, India, Turkey. They've been preparing, getting ready for the crash they know is coming. The elites, the global financiers, the people that run the system, they've seen the movie. They know how it ends, and they are all positioned, sitting there with their gold, making mine and your gold and silver values skyrocket. The demand is up. Is it possible that Donald Trump pushed the demand up in the stock markets and the precious metals market at the same time, defying every rule of the book? That's the playbook. That's what the world is planned for. But then comes the man who is not in the system, and suddenly that playbook is not working anymore. What has Donald Trump done that they did not see coming? Tariffs. Now stay with me. For 50 years, every crisis has always been met the same way. Print, borrow, stimulate the economy, and delay the inevitable. That's the pattern. Print, borrow, stimulate, delay. Kick the can, sedate the patient, keep the game going. Well, what was happening around the world? These world leaders saw when Joe was in office, the kicking the can was running out of space. that Democrats always never produce. They reduce the pie. And these men were getting mighty afraid around the world. They was fixing to lose any slice of the American pie, sending precious metals through the roof. That's what the elites expected, the cabal. That's what history expected. That's what the central banks are betting on when they started stacking gold 3 years ago. Now they expected tariff talk from Donald Trump because that's his thing. They always expect talk. They expected symbolism, maybe a few headlines, some tough tweets. What they did not expect was persistence in the tariff war. They did not expect a leader that would change the game, stop kicking the can, and start building the empire again. And absorb the pain of rebuilding. Donald Trump has taken so much pain for talking about tariffs, ridiculed by everyone. He was only a leader is willing to take that pain to stop what's coming for America. Donald Trump said if the Democrats would have won one more term, America would be over as we know it. And he is right. You know, I don't know if you know this or not, but America was not always a free trade nation. The greatest industrial rise of the late 1800s was built behind tariff walls. Tariffs was not punishment in those days. They were development tools. We used them to build industry, not just fight trade wars. But see, the elites forgot that history. But Trump didn't. Tariffs don't print wealth. Tariffs don't borrow from the future. Tariffs don't delay the reckoning day. Tariffs do something the elites did not expect. Tariffs build, to produce, to bring real work back to real people, making real things, not paper, but production, not debt, but industry, not Wall Street, but Main Street. And here's the question nobody's asking. What if the golden age that we're hearing about is literal? I'm telling you right now, I'm getting emails from all over the country, people thanking me for bringing them to silver and gold 5 years ago at godsmoney.info. People right now, I just had a sister in my church. She looked at her 401k because she brought it over to godsmoney.info. She said, I was like, wow. Why? Because this is the golden age, literally. This is not supposed to be happening. Gold is rising, but this time not because the system is failing. History now is expecting the system, the history to fail. It's supposed to, without tariffs. But because real value is being restored, stocks are rising, not because of fake money, but because of real productivity. What if Trump did not just interrupt the system? What if Donald Trump actually broke the system? History says when gold and stocks rise together, it's the last warning before the crash. The funeral bell is ringing. Funeral bells should be ringing right now. But it may very well be a wedding bell. What if someone changed what it was measuring? The elites hoarded gold because they expected dilution. They expected printing. They expected the same old game. They did not expect a president who would bet on building instead of borrowing. They did not expect tariffs. Nobody. They did not expect someone willing to take the pain of rebuilding instead of the easy road of printing. One day, history may very well look back and see how even history missed it. Now, of course, I'm not telling you this is guaranteed. The jury is still out. Tariffs require execution, discipline, and time. And history knows that politicians rarely have the stomach for any of those. And that's why gold is still rising. Because even though Donald Trump has started the tariff, will he finish it? Will his successor realize the beauty and the power of it? Or will it become a thing of the past? That's what gold is waiting on. So for those of you that have not jumped in yet, you better go to godsmoney.info and get you some silver, some platinum. That's the only place you can get it with no commission and no markup. godsmoney.info. You need to book an appointment there now with me, and we'll get your 401ks, whatever you need. Why? Because it's going to keep rising. Why? Because what's going to happen to Donald Trump? See, now gold has to think about, if you will, what about after Trump? That's why it's going to keep rising. It's still preparing for a crash. For the first time in my lifetime, there is a variable that history cannot model. A man who is not trying to sedate the problem, but solve it. Providence, God himself, Yahweh. The elites didn't see it coming. The central banks didn't model it. And history has no playbook for what happens next. Do you know why gold and silver will continue to rise? History has no playbook for what happens next. This has never happened in history. What happens in history when these moments come, we print our way out. That's predictable. Trump, not so much. Therefore, as long as there's no playbook for the future, what happens next, those resources will continue to go up in demand. So the question is no longer who is positioned for the crash. The question now is, what if the crash doesn't come? Not because the math just fixed itself, no, but because one man changed the equation. You're not going to hear about this anywhere else. The mainstream is definitely not going to talk about it because they would have to credit Donald Trump. But Donald Trump is the variable that history forgot. He's the mystery. And that's what keeps the elites up at night. What is he going to do? And until they can figure that out, they're going to hold their gold. And it's going to keep rising in value. So here we are. Stocks, all-time high. Gold, all-time high. Not supposed to happen. That should be the death of America. That should be the crash, because those two never run together unless they're warning you, prepare. Rising together for the first time since the 1970s. Central banks hoarding gold at the fastest pace in 50 years. National debt at $37 trillion. Interest payments exceed our military spending. The dollar's share of global reserves at a 30-year low. Now, we have one group betting everything will be fine. That's the stocks. We have another group, including the people who print the money. That's gold, preparing for it not to be. History is warning us because the math is very dangerous right now. Gold is screaming because it don't trust right now. But history has never seen a serious attempt this late in the cycle to build its way out instead of print its way out. Now, that doesn't guarantee success. Nothing in this life is guaranteed, but it does change the odds in America's favor. So what do you do with this? What does tomorrow hold, Professor Toto? Prepare for both. Go to godsmoney.info right now. Prepare for both. Exchange your declining dollars for rising gold and silver. Do it today. Book an appointment with us today. No commissions, no markup. Just in case. Because here's the truth. Real money works in bad times and in good times. Gold doesn't care who's right. Gold just is. So yes, let's have hope, because I have hope. I'm not scared right now. I have hope for the literal golden age of America because of the policies of Donald Trump. I believe that patterns can be broken with the right leaders, but do not ignore the bell. That's the only way I know to advise you today. Don't lose hope for the golden age, but also don't ignore the bell. Get your money where it needs to be. And once again, silver and platinum is where you want to put your eyeballs right now. Because of AI, those two commodities are going to come up in demand. Prepare for the worst, pray for the best, believe for the best. Because I don't believe we're planning America's funeral right now. We should be. You understand? The bell is ringing. We should be preparing for a funeral. But instead, we're just going to buy the insurance. Gold, silver, precious metals. We're going to do it at godsmoney.info. Do it today, and now you know, my fellow American, the best of the story. May God bless you, and may He bless the United States of America. Before I go, in about 5 hours, I will be live once again. Once again, by the way, those that need the QR code to buy gold and silver, there it is right there. Let me get you a bigger one, actually. But in 5 hours, here, there's a bigger QR code right there. I will be live once again teaching the eternal Word of God. I'd love for you to join me tonight. I do it every Friday night when the Sabbath day begins at sunset, 7 Central tonight. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Bible students will be in that Zoom class to learn God's Word. And I would love for you to join us. Here's the link to the Bible study, 7 o'clock Central tonight. Join us. We would love to have you. If you don't know how to click on the QR code, go to my website. There's a link there to our weekly Bible study. What's my website? Thank you for asking. hiscomingkingdom.com. His, H-I-S, comingkingdom.com. Scroll down, you'll see a link that says Zoom Bible Study, 7 o'clock Central tonight. Today is December the 26th. I'm believing for the golden age of America because of Donald Trump's policies. I believe his policies are circumventing